Hey, what's up, guys? Little man with a big opinion here. So, we are getting closer to Thanksgiving, so I thought I'd get this video made. I don't know, I count down my days. I've got 8 work days left. As a teacher, I've got the week off. We're gonna go do some family get-togethers up in Arkansas. There's been a discussion on, the different things we're gonna get done. And as a prepper, going on vacation, leaving your preps, it can, maybe cause a bit of anxiety or, things like that. What I would say to that is if you plan and prepare for it, then you should still be able to live your normal everyday life. So I've made a video before talking about prepping while on vacation and the different things you need to have. I would say for me, those things have changed because we have a 4-month-old baby. By the time Thanksgiving's here, he'll be 5 months old. So I need to adjust what goes with me when we are more than 3 hours away from home. I think where we're going is about 5 hours away. So it's going to be similar to a video I've done in the past talking about what you should have with you. But I think the title of the video should talk about, bugging out with small children or infants. So, from a baseline perspective, the way I think about a bug out bag, or a get home bag, or a I'm never coming home bag, whatever you want to call it, it is an extension of your preps to where you're essentially able to survive, get all the things done, even when you're away from your home. So some things are going to be added to this list that might not typically be on your list if you were just, going to work. I would hope most people work, an hour, 20 minutes or less from their home. But I think this would also be important for, truck drivers or maybe people that have to go out of state for work or all those different things. It's a general list and concept for the things that you need. It's not going to fit everyone's specific requirements. Some people, have more options with the vehicle choices that they have. But we're going to be taking a 2017 Chevy Equinox. So, me, the wife, the baby, we're doing Christmas stuff, so we'll have some of that stuff with us. And we're going to be gone for about 3 days, which is about the extent that all of us can leave the house and not have to worry about someone watching dogs or cats. Really, for the cats, the only prepping thing is making sure they've got food and water for the number of days you're going to be gone, because that's just about all they care about. We do have someone checking in on the dogs, but that's really besides the point. The bug out bag is still coming with me. The, standard, it's got a tent. I've got food for 72 hours. Not carrying 72 hours worth of water, but I will have Sawyer Mini, iodine tablets, and for that distance, I'm throwing in the Sawyer gravity bag. That way you can process, I think the bag is a 1.5 gallon size bag, so you can process more and, divvy it up in between water bottles and stuff. I'd say, outside of that, vehicle wise, maintaining vehicle maintenance and stuff like that, even though for a drive like that, we could make it there and about halfway back on the 1 tank of gas that we have, any trips that we go on, we maintain at least half a tank's worth of gas. So for this, it's about 220 miles on a full tank, which would just about, or on a half tank, would just about get us home. So making sure, the jumper cables, spare tires good, all the stuff for general road maintenance is important to have with you. If you are doing anything that involves more than one vehicle, that just ups your chances of, not having to deal with so many problems and not having to walk back. We are vacationing, so it's not like I'm going to be wearing my combat boots or hiking shoes or anything. So those are going to go inside of the bug out bag as well. It should be a bit colder. Right now it's 81 degrees in November, but we're getting a cold front in on Friday where the high for the day is in the 50s. So, and then the nights are in the 40s. Generally speaking, the temperature that we have for our area by Christmas, we could still have days getting up into, the mid to high 60s, and the nights, as warm as in the 50s. But generally speaking, having the sleeping bags that we need and the fleece blankets that we need to stay warm, those go into the bug out bags as it cools off. Warmer clothes gets changed out for shorts and t-shirts and things like that, and having several layers, that way, it's the philosophy that my scoutmaster always said is you can always add more layers, but you can only take so much off before you get, in trouble with the law. So having jackets and thermals and different things like that are going to be super important. All of the items are basically the same for myself and the wife, but you throw the baby in there and he goes through 6 to 8 diapers a day. We do cloth diapers, so that math equates to we're bringing about 40 diapers with us, just in case we don't want to have to wash any while we're there. We've got, basically wet gear bags that they can go inside of, and we can, rinse them off and wash them later. It also means he goes through, I think I'm washing 7 or 8 bottles a day right now. So the bottles that we have are pretty nice because we have a shell insert that we can get by with only having to carry 1 or 2 of the hard parts of it, and the rest, they collapse down, they're silicone, so you can take up a lot less space carrying all of those bottles. And then obviously the food supply comes from the wife, so we're not bringing baby food right now, but we do have a small coffee grinder, and we'll take 4 or 5 ounces of oatmeal because he's eating that mixed in with the breast milk. And so food wise for him, that's covered. Diaper wise for him, that's covered. If we had to, hoof it back to our bug out location, we've got our 2 different, carrying harnesses for him that we could switch off back and forth who's carrying him, or switch off who's carrying the bags and who's carrying him. And so really the big thing for us is just getting the exercise in to make that journey back to, our bug out, not getting back to home. So It's obviously going to take more than 3 days depending on the distance that we have to go. A few of the other things that I would recommend is, you definitely want access to a map. If you have the ability to memorize a primary and a secondary route to get home, that's important. So you're setting up from, an Army perspective, you're doing a PACE plan. So you got your primary, alternate, contingent, and emergency plan. Primary is obviously we're going to take the car back, and keeping it above half a tank means that we can take scenic routes and detours and go down county roads, and it's not the fastest, most quickest way to get back, but each mile that you can get closer in the car is less miles that you're having to put on your feet. If you have the ability to do it, just for vacations, throw a 5-gallon gas can in the back of your truck, or if you've got a mount for your SUVs or your different stuff like that, just go ahead and grab it, fill it up. If you don't run into any issues, then that just means you have one less trip to the gas station after your vacation is done, and that's you making sure you didn't waste your money on putting gas in a fuel can and then you forget about it. And my friend that's down at the border right now, he drives a Chevy Toyota Corolla, I think is what he drives, which gets phenomenal gas mileage. He keeps a 3-gallon gas can in his car, topped off, all the time, and it gets rotated in, every 2 weeks. And he'll put 3 gallons into his car, fill the gas can back up, and that way, regardless of, if he forgets to get fuel and has a really low tank, or something bad were to happen, he's always got about 120 miles in his trunk just in case things go south on it. So I'd say a big part of this is your get home bag doesn't really change between home and work when it comes from vacationing to getting home. The big things is typically just the distance. And so a lot of it is a mental game of, have I exercised enough in case I had to, make that trip back home. A lot of it is pre-planning. So knowing what the weather is going to be like. A very simple thing, like I've got my beanie in my backpack and I've got a jacket in the back seat, because yes, right now, if it was cold outside, I'd have the heater running on the car, but if something bad were to happen, I've at least got the stuff with me that I could stay warm. And if I had to, sleep overnight, I've got the sleeping bag, I've got a tarp, I've got the things that can keep me comfortable and safe, even though the weather is not quite at that point. So pre-planning is looking at, what the weather is going to be like when you go on vacation. And depending on how far away that you go, you probably want to look at the weather. Like, if we were going to go, see her parents that live in Oregon. Between Texas and Oregon, there's a huge difference in the weather between that whole distance. And so it'd probably be a good idea to have the supplies necessary to survive in Oregon and in Colorado and in New Mexico and in Texas and Oklahoma, and just that pre-planning your route. Because if you're vacationing down in, let's say, Florida, and you live up in, I don't know, North Carolina, the weather is going to be a lot different. You might be comfortable in shorts and a t-shirt down in Florida in February, but you're trying to make it back home and you hit that point where it starts to get cold and miserable, and you're just not going to be a happy camper with that. So those are things to think about. I don't really know what you could plan and prep for if you took a vacation in Europe. I don't think you're getting in a boat or swimming back from that. But staying within the continental United States, your weather patterns are going to change drastically through all the different places that you go to. And your routes, could very easily change. There could be weather that makes your trip 45 minutes longer. You could have, there's a big difference in having some sort of vehicle problem in the cornfields of Kansas versus having a vehicle problem in, downtown St. Louis. So I'd say the big takeaway is, even when you go on vacation, you should definitely, continue to keep your get home bag or your bug out bag in your vehicle. You need to evaluate where you're going to determine if you need to update your bug out and get home bag stuff. If your bag's not big enough, toss in another backpack. If where you're going, there might be some restrictions on what you have in your bug out stuff, option one is don't go to those places anyway. This is mostly in relationship to your firearms. But option two is just, planning accordingly. So, with all that being said, I'm at my next destination, so I think I should quit rambling on. But let me know in the comment section down below what you would add to your get home stuff while you're on vacation. What thoughts and questions do you have that pertains to prepping and also enjoying your life and going out and doing all the different things, making your memories? Prepping's a lifestyle, but that doesn't mean you should stop doing everything else and dig a hole in the ground and hide in it forever. So, all that being said, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those different things, and I'll catch you in the next one.